name's Curt Kelsey, and I've been a pilot for 25 years. I owned a business in Salt Lake that was a off-road vehicle manufacturing company, and I got kind of bored and sick of the mundane. Felt like I was building the same thing over and over, so I sold the business, went to flight school, and became a pilot. So this is a 1967 Super Huey. It's had every upgrade and mod that we can do to it for performance. It's built totally for external load, performance, high altitude work. We've upgraded it with a bigger horsepower engine. We're 1,800 horsepower versus 1,100 horsepower stock. We've gone to a 212 rotor system on it with composite rotor blades, which are bigger. They give us more lift. And then the tail boom has been replaced with a 205 tail boom, and then reinforced with thicker sheet metal, aluminum panels, things like that. We've done a BLR fast fin, and then we have Van Horn tail rotor blades on it. This aircraft was actually a helicopter in the Army. It was used for training. It was built in 1967. When it came out of the Army, a company called Northwest Helicopters bought it, and they rebuilt it and put it into civilian use. It was a police helicopter in Florida, and then it came from there back to another utility helicopter company who I bought it from 5 years ago. When I purchased this machine, it had been used pretty hard. So all the paint was flaking off. It had numerous cracks in the tail boom in different sheet metal areas. So we pulled all of that off, stripped it all off. It took several months of work, replaced a lot of sheet metal panels, and just went through and redid all the main mounts, different tail boom sections, things like that, and then repainted it. And it ended up how you see here. When I started the project, I didn't want just another utility helicopter. In our industry, a lot of these Hueys have a bad reputation because people just beat the crap out of them, use them like a workhorse. And I wanted something that showed that we took pride in what we're doing, take pride in the work that we have, and that we operate safely. Some of the challenges involved with this aircraft and overhauling it is I had to go to multiple states. It's not like everybody just is in my home state of Utah. So the ship had to go up to Montana to a sheet metal shop up there. It had some modifications done there. Then it had to come back down to Utah. Parts were pulled out of it, sent to California. I had to bring those back in. Then it had to be moved from my hangar up to another shop for paint, and then back to my shop. So it's multiple things over and over. And it was probably a crew of 20 guys by the time it was done. As soon as we got it out of restoration, it came here to Wyoming, and it's been on a search and rescue contract for that whole time. It's a short haul contract. It's where we actually fly people around externally on a long line. And some of the flying we do here is some of the highest rescues in the country. I did a rescue of a gentleman up by Park County in Wyoming. He had been attacked by a grizzly bear. And while I'm sitting there talking to him, I kept thinking, I recognize this guy from somewhere. Well, then I realized I had rescued the same guy with a broken leg like 4 years earlier in a mountain climbing incident. And it was such a weird thing that here's a guy with his leg torn open now from a grizzly bear. And how did I end up in the same place with him twice? So the future of this machine, I can see when the engine times out, I'm looking at a Talon conversion. That would put me up to 2,100 horsepower, and I'd like to do another conversion on the tail rotor that flips it over to the opposite side. So the engine conversion I'd like to do on it uses a FADEC system, and this engine gives us more power, but the operating cost is much cheaper. So we have a 30% reduction in cost. So we go from burning 90 gallons an hour of fuel to 60 gallons an hour, and that gives us more range, more performance all the way around. When I'm in this aircraft and I'm doing external load, I think that's the only time my mind is truly calm. I'm up there in that moment. That's all that matters. That's all I hear. That's all I see. It's a very relaxing thing. People think this job is so scary and we're doing all these things, and I find it the exact opposite. So I see the future with our business and what we're doing. I see us buying old aircraft and upgrading them and restoring them back to something more modern and useful. With my career as a pilot, I see myself flying until the government tells me I can't anymore, or God said it's time to come home. For people who maybe are thinking about becoming pilots or doing that, I can say that it's a lot of hard work. Like, it's very a personal thing. There's nobody there pushing you. You're not going to have anybody wanting you to get through it. It's all on you, and it's a pretty gratifying deal when you get done and realize I did all this. Like, you can get the best instructor in the world, but it takes you as that person. So if you get in there and you have this passion or desire to do this, it just takes work, and it's worth all the work in the world. So whatever it is you're pursuing, it's worth what you're doing if it's enjoyable to you. I'm Curt, and this is Watch Me.